Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Peter Dubois.
And I'm Beth Jones. Police say 2 people were killed in a crash following a high-speed police chase early this morning in Bangor.
According to police, the chase began shortly before 9:30 this morning. Officials have since confirmed the vehicle police were pursuing left the roadway along the Finson Road at a high rate of speed and struck a tree, killing both the driver and passenger. The victims have been identified as 39-year-old Noah Moshero of Bangor and 39-year-old Sheena Soktoma Rolfe of Orono. Police say they were involved in a chase with the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office this morning shortly before the crash, but right now police aren't saying why the chase started. The road was shut down for several hours all the way from the Davis Road to Broadway as crews worked to investigate and clear the scene. According to the Bangor Police Department, the crash is being reconstructed by Maine State Police and the incident remains under investigation.
Meanwhile, a suspect being charged with manslaughter in the death of a toddler in Thomaston made his first court appearance this morning. 23-year-old Isaiah Scott, who you see here, is originally from Louisiana but had recently moved to Maine and was living with his girlfriend and a child, 22-month-old Quayshawn Wilson, in Owl's Head. That child was found unresponsive in the Thomaston Walmart parking lot on May 29th. He was taken to Penn Bay Medical Center in Rockport, where he was pronounced dead. According to police, an autopsy determined the cause of death was blunt force trauma, and the toddler's death was ruled a homicide. Scott was arrested in New Orleans in June and then extradited back to Maine. Scott's bail has been set at $250,000.
One person was taken to the hospital during a search at a Brewer residence that ended in multiple arrests and the seizure of drugs. The scene unfolded at 20 Chamberlain Street in one of the apartments there. Police say they found 7 people inside the apartment when they arrived to execute a search warrant this morning. One person had to be taken to the hospital for medical treatment for reasons unrelated to the search. Police say they found 26 grams of fentanyl and 23 grams of cocaine base in various areas of the residence. 48-year-old Rhonda Morin, a Brewer, was charged with unlawful possession of scheduled drugs. Police say they are still investigating and processing evidence, and charges against others involved are forthcoming.
Police say drivers hit 3 Maine State Police cruisers in 3 days because those drivers didn't obey Maine's move over law. One trooper was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries, and state police say at least one of the vehicles is totaled. Maine's move over law requires drivers to do just that, move over, or at least slow down dramatically when passing any emergency vehicle on the side of the road with its lights on or a disabled vehicle. Police say in one of those recent crashes, the driver didn't even bother to move over or slow down.
According to some statements I've heard from some troopers, the person that struck Corporal Flanagan saw the blue lights, did not move over. There was no brake marks. No excuse.
Violators could face a $275 fine. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration says about a third of Americans are not aware that that law exists.
On Sunday, President Biden announced he would be dropping out of the presidential race, and he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for the top of the ticket. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard has reaction from Maine politicians and their parties.
Well, I think all of us as voters, whether we're Republican, Democrat, Independent, it doesn't matter. We probably all feel like we've been on a roller coaster the last couple of weeks.
I think it was the right decision for the country, and obviously most Americans support that.
Senator Joe Baldacci and Representative Austin Terrio are reacting to President Biden's decision to withdraw from the 2024 presidential race and instead to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris to run in his stead.
Question is, why did so many people around Biden hide the fact that he was declining? And I think those questions have to be answered, and the American people need to know what's going on, who was running the country at the time when Biden was clearly having difficulty. And where do we go from here?
He's going to be remembered as a great president. I think his act yesterday was a very honest assessment and a patriotic move, showing the kind of character that he has.
Other politicians from Maine are weighing in, with the Maine Republican Party saying in a statement, quote, Mainers should remember that whoever the Democrats choose to run will have been a supporter of Biden's policies that have crushed the working class in our state. Please go vote in November. It's the only way to avoid having President Kamala Harris continue Biden's destruction of Maine. The Maine Democratic Party thanked Biden for his service. Quote, we are excited for this newfound opportunity to showcase the next generation of Democratic leadership. One question that remains to be seen is, will this decision change the outcome of the election?
I think it's going to definitely change the enthusiasm gap. I think that there's going to be a much higher level of enthusiasm on the Democratic side, which hopefully will bring out more voters. It could potentially change the outcome, yeah.
I think it's all the same. I mean, when we talk about the Biden administration, it's the Biden-Harris administration. So, you know, Vice President Harris was the border czar. I mean, we've seen what happened at the border.
In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, it may be late in the game, but not too late to get Vice President Harris or whoever the nominee will be on the ballot. Even though Harris didn't run in the primary, she can still be on the ballot this fall. The Secretary of State's office only prints the ballots after the parties have their conventions. Then the parties officially report who they nominated.
Sometimes candidates will run in some states and not others. And then the person who wins at convention is who is on the ballot in November, regardless of who runs in a primary in any given state.
The Republicans already had their convention and nominated former President Trump. The Democrats will hold their convention starting on August 19th in Chicago.
The Environmental Protection Agency is awarding $4.3 billion in grants to fund projects in 30 states to reduce climate pollution. The money will go to 25 projects targeting greenhouse gas emissions from transportation, electric power, commercial and residential buildings, as well as industry, agriculture, and waste and materials management. The grants are paid for by the 2022 climate law approved by congressional Democrats. Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maine will get a total of $450 million to accelerate the adoption of cold climate heat pumps and water heaters. The funds will then be delivered, or hopefully are delivered, this fall.
Well, COVID-19 is still around, and in fact, a new COVID strain is affecting Mainers and others across the country. Dr. James Jarvis with Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center says the new strains, known as KP2 and KP3, trace back to the Omicron variant and are covered by current vaccines available to the public. Symptoms include fever, chills, and cold and flu-like symptoms. Dr. Jarvis says if you feel sick, testing is important to pinpoint whether it is in fact COVID or simply another illness.
Anecdotally, we definitely are seeing more people out in the community with COVID. We have seen some rise in hospitalizations here in Maine, either due to COVID or people who are admitted for other reasons who have COVID symptoms and test positive. But those numbers are still relatively small from the days when we were seeing hospitalizations in 70, 80, over 100 at a time. We're definitely not seeing those numbers.
Doctors recommend that those who do test positive for COVID should isolate for 5 days and wear a mask in public for 10 days after that positive test result. So a couple of important reminders there. You know, we have a much better handle on COVID than we did, obviously, in the thick of things. So that's always a relief.
Right.
But you can't get complacent. And if nothing else,
Yeah.
you don't want to make others sick.
Right, and it's almost easy to do so, now that we're a little bit removed from the pandemic itself.
Yeah.
So it's always good to just remind ourselves of those safe practices.
Yeah, those steps that you still need to take.
Of course.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hit pause here, folks. We will peek outside and get a first check of our forecast.
All right, thank you guys. First weather tonight is brought to you by Acres Away Real Estate, located at 309 West Broadway in Lincoln. Call Alan, Bobby Lynn, or Care to help guide you through the buying or selling process. 794-2700. All right, take a look at those highs today. Bangor was right around 80 degrees. Got pretty hot out there. A little bit cooler by the coast in Rockland. 77 degrees in Bar Harbor at 78. We did see those mid to upper 70s north of us in Greenville and Millinocket. Take a look at that future forecast. Looks like it's going to be a rainy start to the morning. 4:30 is when we'll get some rain and thunderstorms right around 8:30 a.m. So we are going to get a rude awakening as we wake up tomorrow morning. Take a look at your overnight planner. Looks like we're going to have a cloudy night right until about 3 to 5 a.m. when that rain starts, and then we'll have lows in the mid 60s.
Good sleeping weather.
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right.
All right, well, still to,
oops, go ahead.
still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, the Seawall Road in Southwest Harbor is finally getting some much-needed repairs after winter storms.
And UMaine Forest entomology professor Angela Meck provides insight on non-native insects in Maine's forests. We'll have those stories and more local news when we come back.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
Central Maine Barns and Sheds, quality products built right here in Newport with a strong attention to detail. We have an incredible selection of pre-made options and would be more than happy to custom build a unit specifically for you. Central Maine Barns and Sheds has financing options available, including a rent-to-own program. We provide free delivery and setup within a 30-mile radius of any of our locations. Check out our full inventory at centralmainebarns.com or call for more information, 368-6177.
Gather round, one and all, for the family fun summer celebration that is the Grand Bangor State Fair.
Celebrating its 175th anniversary with fun food farm exhibits, truck pulling July 27th, and tractor pulling the 28th. Presented by Whited Ford Truck Center. The 175th Bangor State Fair, presented by U.S. Cellular. 7 fun-filled days, July 25th through the 28th, and August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
BangorStateFair.com.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
It is season 7.
It's the musical game with the bestest prize. Beat Shazam, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
On Good Morning Maine, we start each day with a fresh look at what's happening and what's to come.
All the information you need, fast and to the point.
All while having a little fun, too.
We want to set you up for your best day ahead.
And you get a great start to your day by watching Good Morning Maine.
Welcome back. For local fire departments, safety is a top priority. And in an ever-evolving world where alternatively fueled vehicles are becoming more prominent, it's important to know how to respond in case of an emergency. Our Doug Banks takes us to Milford Fire and Rescue.
Family atmosphere matters in the fire service.
It was an evening of answering questions and camaraderie.
It's always wonderful to have people come in and show us new things.
Personnel from Milford Fire and Rescue and Bradley Fire Department were given safety training on 2 alternatively fueled vehicles to learn the hazards and how to respond in the case of an emergency. First, a propane truck from Yellow.
The Milford Fire Chief contacted our company and asked us if we would be willing to bring one of our trucks out because our trucks do run on propane, which is not a very common fuel.
And an electric vehicle from Versant Power.
We tend to hit heavy with vehicles on where the batteries are placed and some access the firefighters can gain in the event that these vehicles heat up and may cause fires.
They do seem like they're fairly cut and clean. They drive around and look like any vehicle along the same size until you kind of get underneath the hood.
We have to always be training for it. We have to be thinking about it, and we have to be ready for it.
Before the training course, a cookout, bringing together 2 neighboring departments.
We work quite frequently together on calls. They're our closest mutual aid, next to Old Town. So they always show up when we call. We always show up when they call. Sometimes it's nice to just kind of put the gear away and get some food into us and laugh, joke, and kind of get to know one another.
All the fire departments in the area work very well together, and it has to be a team. If we're not a team, we don't get nothing accomplished.
In Milford, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And we thank all our volunteer first responders for their service. Well, according to UMaine Forest entomology professor Angela Mack, there are over 450 non-native species in Maine's forests. And while 90% of them are considered to be harmless, Mack and a group of experts from across the country are working together to stop the damage caused by the other 10% and prevent the next generation of non-native insects from harming our ecosystems. Beginning their research in 2016, the iTree Pest Predictor tool was launched in the fall of last year. That tool uses input data to predict the probability of non-native insects becoming a high-impact pest. Now, while they've made substantial progress thus far, Mack says there is still more to do.
If you think about just insect species as a whole, there's 100,000-ish insect species in North America, and there's over 1 million that have been identified. So that's a lot of species that would need to have data for. So it's going to take time. It's not a quick, easy, here's a master list of things we should avoid. It's something that's going to have to build and to get there.
Certainly some very important research going on there. Mack says the next phase of their work will be looking at species that are not even here yet.
An 8-foot great white shark has been spotted on Maine's coast close to the shoreline. Scarborough's harbor master says it's still safe to swim and go to the beach, even in areas where the shark was spotted. 2 paddleboarders saw the great white here on Friday, and on Thursday the shark was seen off Richmond Island, which is right off the coast of Cape Elizabeth. That's where a commercial fisherman shot this video. The shark has been identified as a juvenile great white, about 8 feet long. And again, Scarborough's harbor master says you can still go to the beach, but they're urging caution.
We just want people to go about their day, Mainers, tours. We just want to make sure that people are fully aware that it's out there, and it is a juvenile, and there have been other issues with them in the past, so we're just making sure that people are aware.
Certainly important information there. Well, 68 working waterfronts are going to be getting more than $21 million in resiliency grants from the state of Maine. The money will help them recover and rebuild after the damage caused by those intense storms in December and January. The grants were proposed by the governor and passed by the legislature in the supplemental budget back in May. Once a project receives final approval, the funding will be distributed after August 9th, when that supplemental budget takes effect. In a statement, Governor Janet Mills said, quote, "Working waterfronts are a cornerstone of our coastal communities and our economy, and last winter's devastating storm demonstrated just how vulnerable they are to extreme weather and climate change. These grants will help rebuild working waterfronts so they are better able to withstand future storms, protecting access to the water now and for generations to come," end quote.
Well, sometimes it just takes a team to get a job done, and local contractors on MDI are a shining example of just that. Local builders, who are often competitors, are working together now to rebuild the Seawall Road in Southwest Harbor, which was destroyed in the winter storms and has been closed ever since. That iconic road connects 2 communities and is an important pathway through Acadia National Park. The contractors are taking time off from work they could be doing and rebuilding the road at their own expense. In a Facebook post, John Goodwin Jr. Construction announced they've teamed up with Doug Gott & Sons and a number of other paving and trucking companies to fix the road as a donation to the community.
They're putting their hearts into it. And again, it's just absolutely amazing to see just exactly what the world needs right now, and especially this little part of the world.
Community members are donating food and drinks for the crews doing the hard work. The contractors say they plan to have the road done in 5 days. The Maine Department of Transportation will do a reconstruction project in the spring of 2025 that they say will make the road even more resilient to future storms. 5 days to get that entire road done.
Mind-boggling.
It really is,
yeah.
and it does prove the power of teamwork in this case.
Well, and the sort of generally accepted importance of that roadway.
Right.
And especially, we've heard residents talk about their fears about, can first responders get through? Can emergency crews get through with the road as it was? And so it's nice to see that project prioritized. I think it's making a lot of people feel more comfortable.
Yeah, it certainly seems so.
All right. Well, coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, we'll be taking a look at the most recent updates from the assassination attempt on former President Trump.
And we continue to track reaction following President Biden's historic announcement that he will not seek re-election. Those stories and more when we come back.
Comfy, cozy, relaxing. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find rockers, recliners, sofas, and easy chairs. Quality furniture, affordable prices. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
This will be the best summer ever.
It's Toyota's Best for Less sales event. College students and recent grads could get a $500 rebate over and above most other offers. See your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Hi. Deprioritized.
But it's a work call.
Oh, a work call? Oh, deprioritized.
T-Mobile home internet relies on cell phone towers, so when their network gets busy,
Not the fridge, come on.
you can be deprioritized.
It's too bad, it's a good movie. Yeah.
Forget T-Mobile cell phone internet. Get home internet that puts you first. Get Spectrum.
When Triumph Professional Cleaning Services wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Triumph Professional Cleaning Services, located in Brewer, creates an environment of cleanliness by providing outstanding commercial cleaning services to eastern and central Maine.
From the land to the sea, Chase's Family Restaurant is the place to be.
Are you looking for a place to unwind after a long day?
Then come check out our Hideaway Lounge.
With a bar that's both upbeat and laid back. And it's the perfect atmosphere for anyone who wants to unwind after work.
Or kick it up for the weekend with daily drink specials and a full dinner menu.
You can fill up on a good time any night of the week.
Thank you for being a part of our family.
Here at Chase's Family Restaurant.
Thousands of kids like Grayson and Elliot receive care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center each year. You can help them by supporting the Summer Classic for Maine Kids. This golf tournament will help kids receive care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center by raising funds to ensure that health care is available today, tomorrow, and in the years ahead. Every dollar raised helps kids get back to the business of being kids. For more information about the tournament and how to register, please visit northernlight.org/forkids.
Durable, sturdy, stylish. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find solid wood, built to last, made in Maine dressers, bureaus, and nightstands. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
If you've been injured, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Back. Vice President Kamala Harris hits the ground running on her first day of campaigning for president after receiving President Joe Biden's endorsement. She addressed staffers in Delaware as she begins to organize and strategize. Fox's Rebecca Castor has more from Capitol Hill.
I know yesterday's news was surprising and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do.
President Biden is reassuring his former campaign staffers after his tough decision and telling them to embrace the new candidate.
I'm hoping you'll give every bit of your heart and soul that you gave to me to Kamala. And I want you to know, I won't be on the ticket, but I'm still going to be fully engaged.
Vice President Harris acknowledged it's been a roller coaster since Biden dropped out of the race, but says she's focused on uniting the party and the nation.
It is my great honor to have Joe's endorsement in this race. And it is my intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win.
In the first 24 hours of her presidential campaign, Harris raised a record-breaking $81 million and earned the endorsement of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other top Democrats.
We're very excited about praising his legacy and electing Kamala Harris president.
Do you think there should be a more open process for nominating?
Well, anybody can run. They can run.
That was Rebecca Castor reporting. Meanwhile, members of a key House panel visited the site of the Trump attempted assassination on Monday. Fox's Brian Yennis has more from Butler, Pennsylvania.
This was a failure in planning, a failure in execution, and a failure in leadership.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers slamming Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle after our Fox flight team drone captured them touring the rally site 9 days after the assassination attempt, something Director Cheadle has yet to do.
I don't understand why she hasn't been here.
The delegation even climbed up on the roof of the AGR building from where the shooter fired his AR-15 style rifle. Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez chiding Director Cheadle, who initially said Secret Service agents weren't put on the roof because it's sloped.
I'm a 70-year-old man, and this roof is not a big deal. So for somebody to tell me that Secret Service agents couldn't been here, that's crazy.
The group of 12 lawmakers said they were surprised by how clear the line of sight was to the stage, though they noted a tree obstructed the view of one of the counter-sniper teams. Republican Eli Crane, a former Navy SEAL sniper, said he immediately noticed the water tower, the highest point in the area. Crane says he does not understand why a counter-sniper team was not placed up there.
I could tell that if any of our counter-sniper teams were up on that water tower, this individual wouldn't have made it 5 feet.
As instructive as the visit was, so many questions remain.
Should the president have been allowed on stage when we have a significantly suspicious person that we're now looking for? Probably not. So those decisions were made, and I don't understand why.
The president of the Butler Farm Show, which hosted last week's rally, reportedly says Secret Service agents came by to do a security advance on July 8th, less than a week before the rally, which struck him as, quote, an awfully quick turnaround. In Butler, Pennsylvania, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
In other news, specially modified swines could save hundreds of lives as we get a special peek inside a research farm's efforts to raise gene-edited pigs whose organs are then expected to be used in studies of animal-to-human transplants as soon as next year. Fox's Deborah Valentine takes a look.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Researchers in Virginia are growing modified pigs whose organs could be used to help bridge the large gap in human donors.
Ultimately, the future would be is that you wouldn't have to go, on an organ transplant list.
According to the Health Resources and Services Administration, there are more than 103,000 people on the National Transplant Waiting List. About 17 of those people die every day while holding out for their turn.
This is the culmination, of decades of research.
Because the human body can reject organs from other species, scientists at Revivicor have been genetically changing genes inside its pigs to make them more suitable for people.
This is a 10-gene pig, so this pig has 10 genetic modifications, has 4 pig genes inactivated, and has 6 human genes.
Teams then clone pigs with the altered genes so they can have a steady supply.
The embryos come here, surrogate sows come in, we do the embryo transfer surgery, and then they go back into one of these barns and gestate until clone pigs are born.
Nearby, researchers at United Therapeutics are also busy at work. These animals are under tight security. Their food gets disinfected, and the water and air they consume faces tougher filtration standards than what's required for people. The company is aiming to produce roughly 125 pig organs a year for clinical trials in the near future.
The FDA is now realizing there's a body of evidence that says this is going to work.
Deborah Valentine, Fox News.
Just really fascinating stuff going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of questions.
Me too.
But certainly an interesting concept, and it's certainly painful to hear that so many people die every day waiting for an organ donation. So, that's painful too.
Absolutely. Hopefully many more lives will be saved down the line.
Yeah.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Grace Blanchard headed to Belfast to highlight the culture, community, and music at this year's Maine Celtic celebration.
And in sports, the Maine College Football Annual Luncheon was today. Hear from Maine football head coach Jordan Stevens ahead of camp next week.
The Quiz with Balls, all new Tuesdays at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Driving the Nissan Rogue with Google built in is like...
Hey Google, turn on Rocky's Food.
The ultimate connection. Drive the award-winning Nissan Rogue today.
Get 0% financing for 36 months on Rogue Platinum.
These days you can buy a new mattress anywhere. However, getting the right mattress at the right price will keep you up at night. When you're ready for a new mattress, come to Dorsey's. We've delivered more mattresses to this area than any other retailer. With over 48 years of experience, the largest in-stock selection, plus our 30-night sleep guarantee, we've got the right mattress for you at a great price. Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A, Holden. Sleep well, my friends.
A new deck is a great, affordable way to improve your home or camp. Hammond Lumber Company can help you create the perfect deck for your outdoor space. Visit Hammond's product showroom and explore their extensive range of decking and railing options. Your Hammond sales rep will be happy to help you with your materials and design choices, and Hammond delivers from any of their 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Make this the year you enjoy that new deck you've always wanted. It starts when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Hank's Husqvarna is your trusted full-line Husqvarna dealer, offering you everything you need for your outdoor projects. From high-performance lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers to chainsaws, trimmers, battery-powered and powerful snowblowers, we have just what you need. Every piece of equipment is fully set up, serviced, and ready for use by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty. For parts, service, or new equipment sales, make your way to Hank's Husqvarna in Carmel or Newport.
Dine on the deck with a delicious view at the Lucerne Inn and Ryan's Pub. Experience outdoor dining at its finest. Open Tuesday through Sunday with award-winning dishes from their executive chef, Arturo Montes. Dining on the deck at Ryan's Pub is an unforgettable culinary experience you'll want to share with your family and friends. We are pet-friendly, so your furry friends are always welcome to join you at your table. Your next visit to the Lucerne Inn will feel like the first, all over again.
Driving the Nissan Rogue with Google built in is like...
Hey Google, turn on Rocky's Food.
The ultimate connection. Drive the award-winning Nissan Rogue today.
Get 0% financing for 36 months on Rogue Platinum.
The CDC says a sixth person has contracted bird flu in Colorado after coming into contact with infected birds. The agency says the patient is a co-worker of 5 poultry workers who also likely contracted the bird flu while working directly with those infected birds. The Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment says the infected workers were killing or removing selected birds to control the potential spread of bird flu. The CDC says the workers who've been infected have been offered medication. Testing done on one of the employees shows bird flu strain is closely related to another strain in Michigan. The CDC says a total of 10 human cases of bird flu have been reported in the U.S. since April.
Well, a number of threats to pollinators are taking a toll on crops nationwide. A new report found the population of insect pollinators is dropping in the U.S., which is causing a decline in crops. The plant uses the pollen to produce a fruit or seed, but many pollinators are being threatened, due in part to pesticides, climate change, invasive plants, and diminished habitats. Recent studies have shown a dramatic decline in bees, which are the primary pollinators for a lot of different plants, but flies, wasps, beetles, and butterflies also play an important role.
New rule changes by the IRS could give some consumers a chance to pull from their retirement savings early. The Internal Revenue Service says it's okay to use 401k funds for certain emergency uses. The new rules allow for withdrawals up to $1,000 per year without any early penalties before age 59 and a half, or taxation on the amounts taken out if the money is restored to the account in 3 years. Emergency situations include health emergencies, funeral expenses, and auto repair.
Well, the country is still facing major flight delays after last week's global tech outage stretched into the weekend. Fox's Nate Foy has the latest details.
The flightmare continues following Friday's massive global software glitch.
I feel awful for everybody whose flights are getting canceled. People going to things like funerals or stuff of that situation. This is unacceptable.
Delta Airlines, one of the most affected over the weekend, canceled more than 600 additional flights Monday morning. The airline accounted for roughly half of the 7,000 U.S. flights canceled between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, marking one of the worst travel weekends of the year. Delta's CEO says, quote, "Our teams have been working around the clock to recover and restore full functionality." The tech meltdown came during the busiest travel weekend of the summer for Delta, with flights already more than 90% full. Meanwhile, multiple financial institutions, government entities, and corporations around the globe also reported issues. In the U.S., some hospitals and school districts reported impacts, and some courthouses either closed or delayed trial proceedings. In the UK, the impacts are similar.
The doctors answer more or less immediately, and so I went online on the app and it said there was a computer outage.
Now healthcare systems in the UK are working to resolve disruptions.
We've not actually been able to manage how we would normally manage incoming patient demands.
Doctors' offices and pharmacies in the UK have now resorted to using pen and paper to refill prescriptions and schedule new appointments. In London, Nate Foy, Fox News.
All right.
And when we come back, we'll have our full 5-day forecast.
Stay with us.
All right, it was a beautiful day out there today, but things are going to turn around into early morning tomorrow. Looks like we got some thunderstorms on the way that are going to bring us a rude awakening as we are waking up for the business day tomorrow. I'll have more on that coming right up.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do. Day in and day out. Making milk you can trust. No artificial growth hormones. And we protect Hood Milk with our light block bottle. We care about our milk because we know how much you care about what you give your family. So you can feel good about Hood.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. Amazing offers and a great selection of the best-selling trucks in America for 47 years. Ford F-Series, gas, hybrid, or all electric. These are the deals you've been waiting for. So don't wait. Make it Ford. Make it yours. Make it now. Now, lease a Ford F-150 for $299 a month for 36 months. Only at your New England Ford dealers.
At China Walk on Broadway in Bangor, we're serving up your Chinese favorites. Our food is delicious, our staff is friendly, and our service is fast. Open Tuesday through Sunday, call ahead, order online, or just stop by. Enjoy our indoor dining for the full experience, or get takeout that the whole family will enjoy. We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied. China Walk on Broadway in Bangor, where tradition meets flavor.
Welcome to The Floor.
Check out Fox's #1 new game show anytime on Hulu.
Let's go!
The Floor, all new this fall on Fox, and stream the first season on Hulu.
Looks like today we got right to 80 degrees for our high today. Got pretty hot out there in Bangor. And by the coast, we can see Rockland at 77 degrees, Bar Harbor at 78. We did have those 80s stretch to the southwestern portion of the state. We see Augusta 82 and Freiburg got up to 85. And then we did have some mid to upper 70s north of us in Greenville and Millinocket with a high of 79 degrees. As we go into those early morning lows, looks like we'll be right around 64 degrees with some mostly cloudy skies tonight as we do have a weather system approaching. And that is going to keep things relatively cool going into tomorrow. If those storms pass through pretty quick, we would see Bangor getting up to 75 degrees, but most likely with that rain in the area, we'll probably be staying around the low 70s. As you can see, Deer Isle at 68 and Millinocket at 68 as well. Things are going to be a little bit cooler than they have been the past few days for tomorrow. As you can see, we're through that cool part for these next few days. We'll be in those mid 70s Wednesday and Thursday, and then temperatures are going to rebound nicely going into this weekend. We can see some mid 80s by Saturday and Sunday, and once we get into Monday, it's going to get very, very hot out there with a high of 88 degrees. So the heat is definitely going to make its way back into our area. Taking a look at the humidity right now, looks like it's pretty muggy out there. It's going to stay like that until we get to Friday. But once that high pressure makes its way back in, those dew points are going to drop and will be a lot more comfortable going into the weekend. But for now, humidity is up there, pretty muggy and sticky out there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Other than that, looking at the radar, we can see our next weather system approaching from the south. It is now just going into New York. And and that is going to make its way into Maine by those early morning hours. So taking a look at that future forecast, we can see right around 4:30 is when we're going to start to get that rain into our area. And once we get around 8:30 in the morning, that's when we'll have some thunderstorms start to approach, giving us a rude awakening in the morning with some loud thunder and maybe some heavy downpours as well. That's going to clear out going into Tuesday evening. We'll be in the clear with maybe a few lingering showers right around 9 o'clock on Tuesday. Taking a look at the future rainfall with this event, looks like we'll be close to an inch in Bangor, just a little bit over 3/4 of an inch, and we can see that stretching off to the east, Princeton around 3/4 of an inch as well, and then just north of that, they can see probably close to an inch, while areas north and near the coast are going to see right around 1/2 of an inch of rain. Taking a look at those wind speeds right now, we can see a south wind of Bangor 10 miles per hour, southwest near Bar Harbor 12 miles per hour, but other than that, in the state, we do see a lot of 5-mile-per-hour winds, especially near Greenville. So winds are right around that 5 to 15 mile per hour range. For tonight, low of 63 degrees. We'll have increasing clouds throughout the night, and then we'll have those showers during those early morning hours, and winds are going to be calm throughout tonight. Going into tomorrow, a high of 72 degrees. We'll have those scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the early morning hours and lingering throughout the day. Other than that, winds are going to be from the south. Taking a look at your extended forecast, looks like we're going to have a few stormy days coming up, especially going into Thursday and Friday as well. Then sunshine will return back on Saturday with a high of 83 degrees.
Alrighty, Chase, thank you so much.
And we got sports coming right up next. Stay with us.
Subaru summer is finally here. Escape and explore in a brand new 2024 Subaru Crosstrek. Get 3.9% APR financing on select models or lease for just $299 per month. It's your Subaru. Find it at Quirk.
Okay, guys, we're all here because US Cellular has an incredible deal. Right now, you can get 4 lines for just $90.
Sorry, just double checking. Is it really that good of a deal?
Yeah. It's a huge deal. You also get 4 free phones of your choice.
4 free phones! Wow, I just triple checked and that's awesome.
So go get that deal. Or at least help me clip. Do you check the expiration dates?
Oh, I can do that.
Great.
Get 4 free phones of your choice with no trade-in needed, plus 4 lines for $90.
John Brown first opened his own appliance store in Ellsworth in 1976. With his gift of storytelling, a strong work ethic, and a philosophy of putting others first, John and his wife and children saw the business prosper and grow. Today's 3rd and 4th generation of family and their entire team continue to follow the example set by their grandparents and parents. Brown Appliance and Mattress, High Street, Ellsworth, a family tradition of quality, value, and customer service that always puts you first.
You want to be a lifeguard. This is the real deal.
When you're on a holiday,
this is more than just a job. It's life.
On an island in the sun, we'll be playing and having fun.
I thought you said this job was easy.
Make this the summer at Quirk Ram in Bangor. Lease 25 Ram Bighorn for $546 per month or get 0% APR on Dodge Hornet or 2.9% APR on Jeep Wrangler and Cherokee 4XE hybrids. It's your Ram, Dodge, or Jeep. Find it at Quirk.
Don't miss a single note of the $1 Million Music Game Show.
You think you could be a little more excited?
I'm so excited. Don't forget the lyrics. Thursday on Fox.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get things going on the baseball diamond. It was not a good weekend for the Red Sox coming out of the All-Star break, being swept by the Dodgers, but it was a great weekend for longtime Red Sox play-by-play announcer Joe Castiglione. Castiglione was honored by the Baseball Hall of Fame with the 2024 Ford C. Frick Award for Broadcasting Excellence. Castiglione has been the voice of the Red Sox on the radio for 42 years, bringing us his classic "Can You Believe It" call after the final out of the 2004 World Series. That one still gives me goosebumps. When he was given the award, which is a nice cherry on top of an already Hall of Fame career, here were his comments on Red Sox Nation to close out the speech.
And most of all, to the passionate fans of Red Sox Nation for their trust and their loyalty. I know they appreciate my passion because many have told me they can tell the Red Sox are winning or losing by the tone of my voice. I really had so much fun with Red Sox baseball, At my 50th college reunion, a classmate said to me, "You're the one guy who did exactly what he said he wanted to do." What a blessing. This honor caps the many blessings I've had, and the catchphrase fits so well. Can you believe it?
Awesome career. The voice of my childhood, really. Let's go to the football field now. Technically the football field, the 17th annual Maine College Football Coaches Luncheon taking place Monday morning at Bowdoin College. Each year, coaching staffs from Maine's 7 collegiate football programs, including the Black Bears, Husson, and now Maine Maritime Academy once again meet at Bowdoin to talk football and discuss ways to grow the sport in Maine. The Maine chapter of the National Football Foundation hosts the event each year. Chapter President John Wolfgram says it's always great to have everyone together.
Just a chance to get all the college coaches together to talk about football in the state of Maine, to talk about their program, basically the prospects they have coming back. It's really a great opportunity to bring the whole Maine football community together.
The luncheon marks the unofficial start of what hopefully is another exciting football season here in Maine. Up here for Jordan Stevens and the Black Bears, Stevens acknowledges that the team has to start winning games. They have 4 wins in 2 seasons, but he says he feels farther along at this point this season than he has in past years. And he's also confident they're building a culture at Maine that will ultimately set the Black Bears up for success.
I mean, we feel like, the culture precedes the positive results. So like culturally, we really want to make sure we are developing our players as leaders and just getting them to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. There's a legacy of Maine football. So knowing who we are, caring about who we are, only gives them more purpose to what they're doing.
Training camp for the Black Bears starts next week with their first practice of the year on Wednesday, the 31st. Staying with some football now, let's go back to Saturday. Great showing from both teams at the 34th annual Maine Shrine Lobster Bowl Classic, and one future Black Bear took over the show. Incoming UMaine freshman Noah Carpenter was named the MVP of the Lobster Bowl. He threw 5 touchdowns, leading the West squad to a 49-18 win over the East. Nice hook and ladder play right there. Carpenter won back-to-back state titles with the Leavitt Hornets and was the Gatorade Player of the Year. I caught up with Noah at Lobster Bowl Media Day about his future with the Black Bears.
Going up there is going to be exciting. I'm so excited, looking forward to it. Just to know that there's another step of competition after this and that I can continue to play college sports, which a lot of people can't. It's just unbelievable that I get the opportunity to do that.
All right, excited to see what he can do in Orono. Time for some basketball and some news out of the high school scene. Ace Flag has a new home for his senior season. After winning the state championship with Nokomis his freshman year, Ace went to Montverde Academy in Florida along with Cooper. They won a national title there this past spring, and with Cooper moving on to Duke, Ace has also taken his talents to the state of North Carolina. He'll be playing at Greensboro Day School in North Carolina after a great summer playing with Brian Scalabrini's AAU team. Ace fields several Division I offers, including the University of Maine, George Washington University, and St. Joe's in Philly, those 2 Atlantic 10 schools. Wishing him the best of luck. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Our Stable Lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
This will be the best summer ever.
It's Toyota's Best for Less sales event. You could get 1.99% financing on most Tundra hybrid and gas models. See your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Mainers are tough as nails. And when it comes to quitting smoking or vaping, we don't give up. Because Mainers know every quit attempt is a step in the right direction. The Maine Quit Link offers free help to stop smoking and vaping, including personalized quit plans and free nicotine gum, patches, and lozenges. Because quitting tobacco with a little extra help is more successful than quitting cold turkey. Quit like a Mainer. Enroll online at MaineQuitLink.com or call 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
If you've been injured and think you can't afford a lawyer, think again.
Lowry & Associates can be your lawyers, and there's no fee unless they win your case.
We don't get paid unless you get paid. We call it the Lowry Guarantee.
They win or it's free. That's the Lowry Guarantee.
Lowry & Associates settled my case for $195,000.
Call the twos. We win for you.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do? Call 222-2222.
When Rage Room in Winslow wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Looking to blow off some steam? The Rage Room is the perfect place to unleash your fury, distress, and have a great time doing it. Call today to book an appointment.
The baddest superstars on the planet are unleashed in prime time.
Listen to this place!
All new Friday Night SmackDown at 8/7 Central on Fox.
Welcome back. A humpback whale in a river along the Maine and New Hampshire border is attracting a lot of attention. It was spotted earlier this month and now again this past weekend. As Mal Meyer reports, that has some concern for its safety.
The whale was caught on camera Sunday afternoon around the Portsmouth Harbor. Jedediah Bracey says they just stumbled upon it. What was that like to see it here in the cove?
Well, I mean, different. You know, we don't generally get a whale in that close.
John Perry caught a look at it earlier this month.
You know, this is a humpback whale, and we've never seen that big a one. This, you know, in the river especially.
We're hoping it leaves the area soon.
Diana Schulte is co-founder and director of research at the Blue Ocean Society for Marine Conservation. She says it was first reported around the 4th of July at the mouth of the Piscataqua River.
Holy moly.
And this is the same animal. We can tell it's based on the shape of its dorsal fin, and it's got some white scarring.
Schulte says they don't know its gender, but believe it's a couple years old. Humpback whales in the Gulf of Maine do get named, but they're still trying to match it to cataloged images of ones that have been seen before.
There have been a lot of menhaden, which is a type of small bait fish, in the river recently. So likely it was coming into the river just looking for some food.
This is concerning because there's a lot of boat traffic, people fishing, and gear going into the water. It could get hit by a vessel or tangled up in lines.
For the boaters in the river, it's not a good thing to have a 30-plus ton animal as a sort of a hazard to navigation.
Plenty of people are hoping to get lucky and see it for themselves.
I don't know if it's still around today or not.
She wants people to keep their distance and that it will go swim back out toward the open ocean.
Whales are wild animals. They are very unpredictable.
Hoping that whale gets itself to safety. More than 400 people have submitted their redesigns of the original Maine state flag that will be voted on this November. The rules of the contest were pretty simple. People needed to design a flag featuring a green pine tree and a blue North Star set against a buff background. Emily Cook, who is the communications director for Secretary of State Shanna Bellows, says the next step is for the secretary to review all of those submissions.
Is really exciting and I think speaks to Mainers' creativity and interest in being a part of this potential new chapter in Maine history. She's going to look at all of them at once, so we'll make sure to block off some time for her there, given the large volume and good interest that we saw from Mainers and other artists.
Cook adds they hope to have that winner picked and announced in early August.
Looking forward to seeing that final selection. Food and farming are drawing a crowd to the town of Machias, where a brand new farmers market opened this summer. Our Jody Hersey recently stopped by to see how the community is enjoying the venue.
At Shoppy Farm on the Kennebec Road in Machias, vendors and farmers gather to display their products at this new farmers market created by chef and baker Ross Florence of Rogue Bluffs.
As soon as we opened, it was busy from the get-go.
Chef Florence owns La Laiterie Cafe, which opened inside this 200-year-old dairy barn on the farm in 2023. Here, people order coffee, croissants, and breads, nibbling and mingling every Sunday while they shop at the farmers market just outside the cafe doors.
It's been a natural expansion of the bakery and the cafe. So I think having this here allows me to meet more farmers and create more of a community, especially in the food-based space.
Farmer Phoenix Burns says customers can find a plethora of things at this outdoor market.
There are folks that are doing oysters, mussels, flowers. Of course, I'm doing organic produce.
Vendor Jackson Wright of Machiasport is here every weekend, offering his homemade organic dog biscuits that tend to sell out quickly, which is okay with this young entrepreneur.
In my opinion, it's like a really good feeling.
What do you do with the money?
I'm saving up for a drone.
Shopper Betsy French is a regular here. She says La Laiterie Cafe and this farmers market is just what this community needed.
It's critical. We don't have anything like this. And the fact that Ross was willing to take a chance and come up here and do this, it just means everything.
In Machias, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, one of Belfast's biggest events of the year returned to the city's waterfront this weekend. Our Grace Blanchard takes us to the main Celtic celebration.
A celebration of music, culture, and community. That's what you'll find each year at the main Celtic celebration.
Actually, the biggest summer event here in Belfast.
For the past 18 years, a group of volunteers has been putting on a festival along the Belfast waterfront that captures the rich heritage of the Celtic nations.
We do it to celebrate the Scots-Irish heritage of the immigrants to this land.
Many in the community say they have their own ties to Celtic roots.
We just love being invited back every year and just kind of immersing ourselves into the heritage, because a lot of us have Scottish and Celtic heritage here in the Maritimes and on the Mid-Coast.
For many, it was their first time experiencing the festival, but others have made it a tradition.
Finally made it to the festival after years of having scheduling conflicts or something else, so we decided that this was the weekend to do it.
We've been here 4 or 5 times, so we kind of plan on it for the summers coming down here.
All the money raised will go directly to the main Celtic celebration nonprofit. Organizers hope to continue sharing these traditions with the community for many years.
It's a way to get the community together and to do it in a way that really encourages anybody to come.
In Belfast, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Wow. Just like, first of all, just an amazing place to have a festival like that. We love Belfast and the area
yeah, it's
there.
so beautiful there.
You know, it's aptly named after Belfast in Ireland, right. and so just a great place to have that festival, and they really, you can tell, embracing all the culture there.
Absolutely, and I sort of marvel at some of the field events that were going on there.
Yeah. Really
I'm definitely not getting that kettlebell or whatever that was up over the rod.
No, but it'd be fun to try.
It would be fun to try until you gank a neck muscle, and then
right.
it's all fun and games. Yeah, right. I'll be sitting at the desk like, I can't move my head. Yeah, but props to everybody who tried, and that last gentleman succeeded, so good on you.
Oh, yeah, that was impressive.
That was.
Yep.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us, folks. From everybody here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC 7, right now for ABC 7 News at 11.
Do you own a timeshare?
Warren Morris guest host Jimmy Kimmel Live with Sebastian Maniscalco and the Bears' Gillian Jacobs later tonight.
Next time on Claim to Fame.
We're playing telephone. Let's go! So this telephone sounds like butts.
My ham is pulled.
Oh no, is he cramping?
You've gone so out of your way to mind. He's dead. I'm steering him in any direction that's not me.
Issue with pulling off the sheep's head mask. Everyone knows you're a wolf.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you.